recording. I'll put it on YouTube for you later. Okay. First unit I do is on measurement. Why do I do a unit on measurement? Because it's deceptively easy. Everyone thinks it's going to be easy. Everybody thinks it's going to be no problem. Then we do it and everyone's like, oh. Kind of like the drilling the hole through the block question in the warm-up. All right, so we start with discussing the ways in which we measure things in our society on our planet. There are two ways. Why aren't you sliding down the page? Maybe it'll start. There's two ways we measure on the planet. Who knows what they are? Imperial is absolutely correct. Metric is a nickname. I don't know what's happening with my machine here. I'm extra PO'd. It's letting me... Oh. That's no good. That's going to make it awfully hard to do work. No, I don't want to save that. Thank you. Remember all those lines that disappeared? They're right behind me now. Or they will be when I turn on the projector. How embarrassing. See? There they all are. You guys watch those disappear, right? That wasn't in my head because I'm old? Okay. And now it's moving. Whatever. Okay. So yes, there are two ways. The first one I'm going to write about is Imperial. Now, to keep the Star Wars theme going, dom, 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 da, dom, dom, da, dom, which is my mother-in-law's ringtone when she phones me. She doesn't know that. She's never around when she phones me, so it's funny. When she texts me, it's the Wicked Witch of the West from Wizard of Oz. I love my mother-in-law. If you bump into her, tell her how much I talk about how great she is. Because she's awesome. Imperial. Does anybody know where the imperial system is used? Where? Other way around. The imperial one is the one that's used only in 3 places. And the only one that really matters is the US. Because one of the countries is really tiny. It's like, I want to say Liberia, but I'm not 100% sure. But most everybody else has gotten rid of the imperial system. What are some imperial measurements? Inches, feet. Those are distances. What else? What are some other imperial measurements? No distances allowed. Pardon? Pounds, ounces. All right, so we're good. Everybody's comfortable with that. Now, do we use the imperial system in Canada officially? No, we don't. We haven't since 1970. But we still use it in one industry. Nope. But good guess. Does anybody know? Carpentry. Yeah, we still use it in carpentry, which is weird because they don't in Europe. My buddy's a carpenter. He went and worked in Europe for a few months. And he's a really smart guy. He's like, yeah, it was such a pain in the ass to do everything metric there. All right, so yeah, we use it in carpentry still. So other than the United States and carpentry, we don't really use it anymore. Except we do, because how tall are you? 6 feet, right? We still use it. How much do you weigh? I weigh 196. 196 what? Pounds. I know, don't laugh at me, Beryl, it hurts. I know I need to lose weight. You don't need to remind me, okay? I'm well aware. Let it be shown on the record that Beryl thinks I'm fat. She totally does, and now she's backing off of it, but that's okay. I'm okay with it, Beryl, because you know what happened to me one time? One time I was at the Calgary Stampede, and there was a guy that was guessing your weight, your birth month, or your age. But the rule was he had to be within 2 months of your birth month. So if you think about it, within 2 months of your birth month means 5 out of the 12 months that he guesses, he's got a 5 in 12 chance of being right. So I didn't do birth month. If he had to guess where my birthmark was, that would have been really embarrassed because mine's on my butt. So then I was going to do my age, but I was like, no, because it was, again, he could be within 3 years of your age on either side. So that gives you a 6-year window. So, but weight, he said he had to be within 5 pounds on your weight. And I was like, yeah, nobody's going to get that because I don't look like I weigh almost 200 pounds. So I said to the dude, go. And the dude is a smart dude because he knows anybody that's going to choose weight is going to be because they don't look like they're the right weight, right? So he guessed 220. I know, right? Fortunately, it was way off. But it was very difficult for me. Because he had a real scale there, and I was heavier than I thought he was going to be. It also happened when we went bungee jumping last year. You had to weigh yourself. And I was like, I weigh 190. And the guy says, get on the scale. 198. Very difficult for me to hear. Miss Ballback, who you guys don't know. Or do some of you know Miss Ballback? No, because you're in grade 10. She was not here last year. Yeah, she's my buddy. She had the same problem. She's like, I weigh 125. And then she gets on the scale. It was not 125. She was mad because she weighed more than my wife. Because my wife and her are friends. Anyway, it was funny. If you were there. Now, back to the fact that Beryl thinks I'm fat. It's okay, Beryl. I control your grades. Just kidding! All right. The imperial system is stupid. Why? What was it based upon? You guys know your history, your honor students. What was it based upon? Nope. Yeah, it's based on body parts, which is stupid. Why? Everyone's different. That's why we call a foot. Right? Does anybody know the name of the distance from your elbow to the tip of your middle finger? Because that's a real distance. That's how they built pyramids. Does anybody remember what it's called? Nope. A cubit. A cubit. Cubit. Does that make sense? I want my pyramid 400 cubits tall. Should I use Ethan's arm to measure it? Or should I use mine? Who's going to get the taller pyramid? Ethan. And we all know how guys measure stuff. Right? Biggest pyramid's the best pyramid. Even though my pyramid might be built better, Ethan's going to be like, well, mine's 400 of these, and yours is only 400 of your little twig arms. Except he would have been saying it in Egyptian, because it was 4,000 years ago. I don't speak a lot of Egyptian. It's hard to do the word bubbles, because they're in hieroglyphs. Get it? Comics, Egyptian writing, the pictures, hieroglyphs, comic book, word balloon. You know what makes a joke really funny? Explain it. Oh, that's never mind. Okay, body parts. It's dumb because it's not standardized. Oh man, look at that spelling. Standardized. And this actually was a big cause of problems because as the world increased its ability to do commerce, the world needed a way to measure. That's the real reason that math and numbers were invented. It wasn't for the fun or the exploration of anything. It was so we could count and do commerce. It was part of the French Revolution, actually. One of the reasons the French Revolution happened was because of this, because you had to pay taxes based on your crops. And you had to pay taxes to the ruler as you went through his land. And if the ruler said, well, you're pulling this many horses that are this many hands tall, and the ruler had little tiny hands, then you paid more taxes. So to go from your farm to Paris, you had to pay like 1 million taxes, and that made the poor people really, really angry. So they had a revolution. There were other reasons. Don't go to your social studies teacher and say, well, the only reason there was a French Revolution is because of small hands. Okay, that's wrong. It's just part of it. They wanted standardized measurement. And as a result, when the world invented a standardized form of measurement, guess where it was invented? France. And that is the metric system. But it's not really called the metric system. It's really called, does anyone know what it's really called? It is called the System International. Yeah. Or SI. Okay? And that's what we're supposed to use. So that's centimeters, meters, and all that stuff. Meters, grams, liters. And that covers the three basic measurements we have: distance, mass, and volume. Everybody cool? All right. Now, what is it based upon? Hey, Nikisa. It's based on a single unit. And each of those units is different. There's a unit for distance, a unit for weight or mass, a unit for volume. But the thing about the System International is each one of those measurements is based on a single unit. And every other unit is a factor of 10 from the base. Now, why does that make sense? How do we count? How do we count? From what to what? From 1? 0 to what? No, because there's only a certain number of numbers, isn't there? No. 0 to 9. Every number we have is made up of 0 to 9, which is how many? 10. That's why the metric system works. That's why we like it better, because it's based on 10, just like we count. Every so often they joke about turning time to be metric. Instead of 60, 60, 60, 60 seconds, 60 minutes, 60 seconds a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day. They talk about turning time metric, which would make it everything on base 10, which would be wonderful and cool until you have to work a 150-hour day or whatever. But that's beside the point. Time is the one thing that isn't going to change. But the System International is based in 10 because it makes sense. That's the way we count. Now, these units here, you guys know what they all are, right? What's an mm? Millimeter. What's a cm? M, km, kilometer. Now, those are your SIs, which means they are in based on 10, right? Now, you guys are smart people. There's only 5 different options there. Are there things in our universe that are smaller than a millimeter? Sure there are. Are there things in our universe that are bigger than a kilometer? Okay. So what makes the metric system so great is we can continue that pattern for everything. In weight, in volume, in distance, and it's always multiplying or dividing by 10. Which means you're adding a 0 or moving a decimal place. Everybody with me? So you guys are smart kids. Milli, centi, and kilo. And this is our base. Because this is distance. Right? Now, we're going to talk about what reference are in a minute, but we're going to talk about our relationships first. If this is the base, this becomes the standard for counting. I wrote that badly. I should have put standard taller. So everything else is a multiplication or a division by 10. Everybody cool? Great. You already know how many centimeters there are in a meter. How many is it? Why? Why do we call 1/100th of a meter a centimeter? Because it's French. 100 in French is cent, percent, cents in a dollar, all that stuff, right? So if meters to centimeters is 100 difference, but I told you we multiply by 10, there must be a missing step there, yes? Because 10 times 10 is 100. So in here, in here is a missing measurement. Does anybody know what it is? Decimeter, right? DM. A decimeter. Oh, I shouldn't have written DM. I should have written deci. That's in there. I'm going to give you a little bit more about measurements in a minute. I just want you to be aware that elsewhere in the world, they actually use these measurements. We don't use decimeters in Canada, but they do in Europe. Centimeter. So we know that centimeter is 1/100th of the base. Now, does that work with everything? Does it work with area, volume, distance, weight, mass? Yes. That's why the metric system, the SI system, is better. Because it applies to every kind of measurement. Always. What's this guy? Milli is 1/1000. Why? A mille in French is 1,000. Okay, 1/1000 of the base. Everybody cool? Deci, centi, milli. Does it go lower? Yes. Do we care about lower? Not really. Do any of you know the next one down after milli? By any chance? Just trivia, just see if anybody knows. Next one down is micro. What would it be? 1/10,000. Next one below that is nano. What would it be? 1/100,000. And the next one down is pico. 1,000,000. And then I don't know what comes after that. I'm sure there's a bunch. Just like going upwards, you know it from computers, right? What comes after kilo? Mega. What's after mega? Giga. What's after giga? Tera. What's after tera? Peta. What's after peta? Anyone? I don't know either. I'm just wondering if you guys could. Nobody knows? Yeah, because really, why would you go over peta? A petabyte? That's huge. I have a 3 terabyte external hard drive. It's got like the entirety of Hollywood on it. All achieved legally, I might add. And it's nowhere near full. I can't even imagine how full it would be. But funny, when I was your guys' age, my buddy's first computer that he got, 256K of memory. And he was like, look at this, I'll never fill it up. My first computer, 4 gigs. And I was like, I will never fill this up. How can you possibly fill this up? My current computer, as I said, 3 terabytes. All right, and kilo, so kilo is 1,000 times, right? 1,000 times the base. Now you guys are smart kids. Base to kilo is 1,000. Are there missing steps? How many steps have to be missing between base and kilo? 2 steps. So here, there's a deca, decade times 10. And then there's, does anybody know the next step? You will know it when you hear it, especially if you've watched the news all summer and listened to the reports of forest fires. Somebody just said it. You can say it louder, you're right. Pardon? Hectare, yes, hecto. Deca is times 10, hecto is times 100. Now, when we use a hectare, that's an area of measurement. Talk about that later. But it is something that exists. So everyone's cool with metric, right? It's easy. Everything is times 10. The decimal place just moves. Cool? All right, now we got to talk about what we call a referent. What word do you see in referent? Refer. It refers to it. So remember, if you are referencing something, you don't have that thing there. You're talking about it, right? So a referent is something you could use to guess these measurements. What is something you could use to refer to a distance of a millimeter, do you think? Something that you have available to you. What part? Fingernail? Yeah. So your referent could be a fingernail. Picking up what I'm putting down? What about a centimeter? You don't have a ruler. A ruler shows you a centimeter. I want something, yeah. I use my pinky, personally. I use my pinky. Oh wait, I should have written that in pink. Pink. Does it show up as pink up there? No, stupid, bad bulb thing. What's your base? What's a referent for a meter? Arm length? Both of them? Yes? I'm asking, because there's no right answer, is there? What do you think is a referent? You think that's a meter? A step. That's a good one. A step. And a kilometer. Now, this is a weird one. What have we used for the first three? Body parts, which is weird because that's what they used to use, right? Is there a kilometer one we could use? 1,000 steps. You'd have to think about that, right? Now, I am going to highlight this line. And when we do our first test, you are going to see why I highlighted that. Remember me highlighting this. Okay? That's all I want to say about it. Because it's going to be funny. Not so much for this class, but for my other class of grade 10s. I hope not for this class. That will be funny. Now, what's the problem down here? Now this time, we did relationship first. Now we're going to do reference first. Do you guys know how big an inch is? What do you think, Taylor? Very close. It's 2.54. So if we're going to say your pinky is a centimeter, the width, what would an inch be? 2.5 pinkies, right? Picking up what I'm putting down? So 2 fingers could be an inch, something like that. Some people say it's your thumb, which is interesting because does anybody know the word for inch in French? It's pouce, which is French for thumb. So when you say your height in France, if you're using the Imperial, I would be 5 pieds, 5 feet, pieds for feet, sept pouces, 5 feet, 7 thumbs tall. That's me. I'm actually 5'7" 3/4", so I round it up to 5'8", and sometimes when I wear shoes, I can get all the way to 5'9". Yeah, I know, right? 5'9". Shut up. It hurts. I know I'm short. Let it be known that they also think I am short as well as fat. And it was Beryl again because she's like 6'2". It wasn't really Beryl, it was Bronwyn. And she's short too. I don't know why. She was just being mean to me. Oh! Strike that. She meant she feels my pain for being short. There was a song in the 70s, Bronwyn, that was, short people got no reason to live. I'm not joking. It was a real song in the 70s. Can you imagine if that song came out now? It would be like hate crime. Let it be known, Case is prejudiced against short people due to the fact that he is 6 feet tall. One day, Chase will be bent over and on a cane, and I will also be bent over on a cane. But I will make fun of him because he will be as tall then as I am now. So I'm going with 2 fingers. 2 finger width. Now, what's a foot? A foot! That's exactly the problem, Victoria. That's why the Imperial is stupid, right? Does anybody know of something that we still measure with a body part today? Horses. We still say horses are hands tall. How many hands tall is your horse? Which is wonderful if you're, me and have these little short stubby fingers. Because my horse is 87 hands tall, right? But if I go get something like LeBron James, whose hand is probably as big as my head, his horses are 4 hands tall. I buy a horse by the hand, thanks. Stupid. Anyway, foot. What's a yard? Oh, wrong pen. What's a yard? Does anybody know what a yard is? What would be your referent for it? Step. Wait a minute. A meter and a yard, same thing. Why do you think they did that? Why did the people that invented the metric system start with measurements that were so similar? Do you think? Why? So it would be easy to adapt. Same way early churches started getting people out of the woods. Hey, we're having a party at wintertime just like you are. You want to come party with us? Sure, why not? Then all of a sudden you're in the church. It's a sweet deal. That's why, we have Christmas trees, because that has a lot to do with the birth of the Savior, right? Christmas trees. It doesn't. All right. And mile. What's a mile? Does anyone know how long a mile is? Close. Exactly. So I say it's 1.5K, which would be 1,500 steps. Now, why did I reverse them here? Is there a relationship in the SI model, or in the Imperial model? Is there a base in the Imperial model? No. And that's, again, the problem with it. So over here, there's no base. So we're going to start with the smallest one, an inch, right? We're going to call this the base. So if this is the base, I move up to feet. How many inches are there in a foot? 12. So 12 inches equals 1 foot. 2 ticks for inch, 1 for a foot. Everybody cool? Now, if this measuring system made sense, then how many feet would there be in a yard? If it made sense. 12 or 120 or something to do with 12, wouldn't it, Bill? But it isn't. How many feet are in a yard? Does anyone know? 3. Makes sense, right? Why not? 3. So 3 feet equals 1 yard, which means 36 inches equals 1 yard. Do you see the problem here? It makes absolutely no sense. Mile is even worse. It's 1,760 yards to make 1 mile. That's not a nice number to work with. And that is 5,280 feet. That's why we don't use it, because it makes no sense. You can't predict it because you don't know what the next thing is. Also, here's another problem. How do we count? Bases of 10, right? How do I do a number between 2 numbers? Decimals. Decimals are in what? No. Decimals, when do I bump to the next decimal? 10. Decimals are still 10s, aren't they? Do Americans use decimals? Can they use decimals with this idiotic system? No, they can't. So what does an American do if he's got to measure something that doesn't work perfectly? Fractions. It's 7 8/32 of an inch. That's how they measure. It's stupid. If any of you are getting into carpentry, you're still going to need to know fractions. And might I offer you this piece of advice? If you are looking for a way to earn a lot of money real quick before you go to university, go work on a construction site and know how to read a tape measure. Because if you can read a tape measure, you're ahead of every single other person there. Because nobody else can, because they're fractions. It's embarrassing. I can do absolutely nothing with a tool. I am the worst handyman ever. That show, Canada's Worst Handyman, should be in my house daily. Because I'm also an idiot and I think I can fix things. And my wife's like, don't fix that. Honey, I got it. Here's the phone, call the repairman. Every time. Because I'm an idiot. But I work all summer doing construction because I can read a tape measure. Those guys think I know what I'm doing because I get fractions. Shh. If you know of anybody who's hired me, don't give me away. I need the money. Don't tell them that I really know nothing. Now, you guys should have at the bottom of your page some blank space, yes? Excellent. On the bottom of that page, as I told you earlier, I told you I would explain the metric system to you, the SI system. Please here write M for base. I'm going to use distance because that's the one we all know, yeah? I could use grams, I could use liters, it would all be the same thing. The next step up from the base is deca. Decameter. What if we're doing volume? Then it's decaliter. What if I'm doing weight? Then it's decagram. Do you understand? Okay. And then the next step up is hecto. And the next step after that is kilo. Everybody cool? And each step moves the decimal place how far? One spot, because every decimal move is a 10. Right? So, if I start here at 7.35 kilos, now this is where it gets weird. These are getting bigger, aren't they? Right? A kilogram is bigger than a kilometer is bigger than a meter, yes? Right? So where does this decimal have to go as I move down towards the base? Does it get bigger or smaller? The number gets bigger. Why, Ethan? The distance is the same, yeah, but the chunks we're measuring in differ. So this is going to be what? 73.5. What's this going to be? 735. What's this going to be? 7,350. Is everybody cool? Everybody gets the metric system, yeah? Now, what happens at the other end of the metric system? Same thing. We're going down to centimeter. I missed one because I'm an idiot. Because it's the end of the day. Decameter, decimeter, centimeter, and millimeter. And let's keep this going. I was at 73.50. What am I at now? $73,500, 735,000, and 7,350,000. Now, here's what makes sense about this, because this is ludicrous, right? If you said you were walking 7.35 kilometers, would you ever say, I'm going on a 7,350,000 millimeter walk. That's stupid, right? You would never say that. But the good thing about the SI system is it's possible to do that in. We can work with it in any level because it's standardized. Is everybody with me? I live 32 kilometers, almost exactly from where I park to my driveway at home. Would I ever say I live 32 million millimeters from school? No. But it's right. Everybody with me? All you do is you move the decimal place. When you're going down the steps, you move the decimal place so the numbers get bigger. When you're going up the steps, you move the decimal place so the numbers get smaller. Everybody got it? This is something for you. This will never show up on any formula sheets or anything. This is just how we measure, okay? All the other comparisons that we're going to make, I'm going to give you a formula sheet for. I am not going to make you memorize that there is 16 ounces in a pound. Okay? You will get that information, but you will have to be able to use that information. Everybody understand? Okay. All right, we are going to turn the page over, and you guys are going to, your job is to fill in this page. Don't fill in 1.5. A through F, and then the next 3 blanks. You can talk, you can move around the room, you can go outside. The only thing you can't do is actually measure anything. So no taking out a little ruler out to the locker and trying to measure it. Everybody understand? Okay? Talk amongst yourselves. Go ahead. I don't care. Go. Of course, Nikisha. Why didn't you say so when you got in here? I'm an idiot.
It's on YouTube anyways. Like, do it later.
Yeah, you can. You can. Here. I'm still an idiot. Yeah, of course. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is all I'm getting you to do today. This will be your homework. So somebody's going to have to go down and walk through the gym before Monday, last block. Yes. Yes. But you must move quietly, and it won't take longer than 10 minutes to be outside of this room.